We have two quarterbacks that came off the board inside the top 10 of ESPN draft analyst Matt Miller's latest 2025 NFL mock draft. We're going to break down those selections and team fits and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an offensive draft analyst over with Bleacher Report, and that is my guy, Keith Sanchez. He is a director of scouting over with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with the LSU Tigers. Guys, thank you for tapping in with us each and every day, Monday through Friday, and being our everydayers. On today's show, we have a mock draft recap and review. Matt Miller from ESPN dropped a 2-round mock. We're just going to go through the first round. Where did the quarterbacks go? We got some interesting pass-catching landing spots, and there was a run on defensive prospects. But before we get into all of that, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Keith, mock draft review, man, and post-Senior Bowl mock draft review. And let's kick it off, right? Inside the top 10, Matt Miller's recent mock draft, I think it dropped yesterday, Keith. Abdul Carter, the Tennessee Titans pass on a quarterback. They go Abdul Carter, edge rusher out of Penn State. The Cleveland Browns also say screw quarterback. They say let's get Travis Hunter, wide receiver / cornerback out of Colorado. First quarterback off the board, New York Giants select Cam Ward out of Miami. The New England Patriots select Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. The Jacksonville Jaguars select Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan. The Las Vegas Raiders select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. The Jets select Will Campbell, offensive lineman from LSU. This is as high as I've seen our guy, but Jalen Walker at 8 to the Carolina Panthers. To Torrey McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona, goes number 9 to New Orleans Saints. And then at pick 10, Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive lineman out of Texas, goes to the Chicago Bears. Keith, if this played out, right? Talk to me. If we're sitting there watching the draft in April and we hear Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter with the first 2 picks, and the first quarterback comes off the board at pick 3 to the Giants, Cam Ward, what is your initial reaction to that?
I can't believe that the Tennessee Titans didn't take a quarterback, right? And they're probably setting their head coach up to get fired. At the end of the day, that's just what it is, right? I look at this situation and I say, how don't they take a quarterback? If you want any chance of success, you can't run it back what you did last year with Will Levis. Now, the only opt-out, right, the only way you may have an opportunity is if you go get a Kirk Cousins or, one of these veteran guys, you figure out maybe a situation with a Geno Smith, right, in Seattle. But that's the only way I see, because I don't think waiting in the draft and trying to draft another quarterback in the second round, right? Like you have the number 1 overall pick and your biggest need is quarterback. Why pass up on it, right? Draft the guy that you believe in. And I think that both of these guys are much more skilled and talented than what you had at quarterback the year previous, right? You should be like, I just feel like, and DP, like, I feel like people can say what they want about Shedeur and Cam if they like them as people. That's separate entity, right? But their ability, they have enough ability, the both of them, to play quarterback at a good level in the NFL. Like, if you're a good coach, you should be able to coach those guys up. There's enough talent and skill there.
100%. I think people, first of all, let's normalize, stop projecting feelings on guys you've never met, you never talked to, you know nothing about outside of what you see on social media and TV. Like, you don't know these young men, so I don't even know how you don't like them personally, because you don't know them. But nonetheless, Keith, I'm gonna tell you what my initial thought is going to be. The Giants are blessed. All right.
No, that's what I was going to say. The Giants and the Raiders, right? Because the Raiders should not be in spot. And to be honest, the Giants are blessed because the Titans and Browns should take quarterbacks and be done.
Both of them having, like, the Deshaun Watson situation with the Achilles. Also, he didn't play well. You know what I mean? Even when he was healthy. Then if you're Tennessee, Will Levis, like, you gave him, 2 years, and he's not been good. So it's like, what are you running? What are you doing? Like, Abdul Carter, and I always say this, yes, we're projecting that the 2026 class will be better. But one of the things that you can't bet on is that Arch Manning is going to be in that class. And that's the belle of the ball in that situation. because his family wants to stay in school for 4 years.
If you were a coach at GM, you can't bet that you're going to have a job in 2026, right? That's not a thing. You can't bet
not when you've been there already, like this, especially the coach like Brian Callahan. It's different, Keith. If this was a rookie head, like first year head coach, like you can kick it down the road, right? Because you just signed your contract. Unless you signed it with the Carolina Panthers, David Tepper will fire anybody at this point. Like he'll fire you, mid-season. We've seen him do it twice. But I think in that situation, Keith, I love the fit for Cam Ward to the Giants. Sorry, guys, we talked about so many different things, but I love that fit for Cam Ward. I love the fit for Shedeur. He gets to the Raiders where his mentor, Tom Brady, is part of the ownership team. And if you don't think Tom Brady is going to make sure that Shedeur has what he needs to succeed, you're crazy. If you think the offensive line is not going to be up to par, he's not going to get another receiver to pair with Brock Bowers and he's going to do every bit of that and make sure that this young man who he has like not just respect for, but he's worked with and knows personally, they have a personal connection. Yeah, he's going to do everything he can. I think Brian Daboll and Cam Ward will probably be one of those ideal pairings, honestly, from a toolsy quarterback to a coach that's used to guys with those type of tools, whether it be like how Josh Allen has the arm talent. I mean, Daniel Jones had all the tools in the world too. It's just he could never mentally put it all together. And Brian Daboll's used to, I think he coached Tua at Bama. I think he coached Jalen Hurts at Bama. He was on the Patriots staff with Tom Brady, so he knows how to coach up different style quarterbacks. I think both of the quarterbacks, their landing spots are ideal in my opinion.
Yeah, I want to talk about this, DP. Travis Hunter. I'll say this. This is personal to me, that I'm trying to figure out where I want Travis Hunter to go. Like to where it's like because I feel like when I'm selecting like him in a draft or doing a mock draft, it's about him getting. It's about a team getting max value for him, right? And I wonder if him going to the Browns is the best thing. Because the Browns have corners, right? Like they don't have a bad secondary, and just throwing him in there is like okay. And then if he plays wide receiver, then who's the quarterback? And then nothing's going to happen past that, right? So I think, and I think that's a highlight part that I did a mock draft. Was that 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I had Travis Hunter, and I think he went number 8 to Carolina, right? And people were saying Travis Hunter won't fall that far. And it wasn't an indictment on Travis Hunter. It was about finding a really good fit, right? I thought that Carolina was a place that he can go and play both corner and wide receiver, right? Like, and not every place is kind of suited for that from a roster perspective.
Yeah.
Where he can be a productive wide receiver, help Bryce Young out, and then flip on the other side of the football. If J.C. Horn gets traded, cut, whatever may happen, even if he's there, he can just play opposite of J.C. Horn and get valuable reps there.
No, I think that's a big thing with Travis Hunter is the fit's it's gonna make or break. Like, don't get me wrong, like he is one of the most talented prospects we've seen in terms of what all he can do and the value he brings to a team. But the situation matters. Like you go to a team that says, "Hey, we want you to play wide receiver, but hey, we don't have a quarterback." Like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, I want to play corner. I don't want to play receiver this year. Maybe I'll play receiver in 2026 once you get a quarterback. You know what I mean? And I think that's the situation you run into. But kids, I want to go to pick 8. You talk about the Panthers. Matt Miller giving them Jalen Walker, and he has him listed as an edge, not a hybrid, not a linebacker, as an edge. How do you feel about this fit? Because that will make him what, edge 2 off the board?
Yeah, I'd so listing him at edge, I love it, and it's the correct thing to do. I tweeted out that was months ago, DP. I tweeted out a picture of Abdul Carter. I tweeted out a picture of Jalen Walker. I think this was September. And I said, these are the 2 best edge rushers in this class. I think Jalen Walker could get the job done. From, just like first step explosiveness, bend, closing speed, all of those different things. And I think Carolina Panthers need one, right? But I would move him. I would look at him in the same light that people want to look at Abdul Carter through the lens of Michael Parsons. I would let him play some linebacker, but also move him down to the line of scrimmage and let him play edge.
No, and that's kind of how I would do it as well. I think it's an interesting situation, especially with him, especially how Mike Green showed up at the Senior Bowl, and you got all these different guys who played full-time edge. And I love Jalen Walker. So, like, this is the highest I've seen him, but his speed, the versatility, I think he's a guy that can change that culture. defensively,
yep.
right?
100%.
That
They need
guy
that.
that you know we've seen when the Baltimore Ravens get ready to play big games, you see Roquan Smith in the middle getting everybody ready to go. I could see Jalen Walker being that guy for this defense, that energy guy, that guy that really sets the tone on that, especially when you get Derek Brown healthy and everything. Maybe you bring back Jadeveon Clowney. I don't hate that pick at all. I think at the end of the day, as much as you want to give Bryce Young another weapon, you got to fix that defense, and you got to do it early in this draft. If a big time playmaker falls to you, take him.
DP, we'll present this question and talk about this another day. But you just mentioned Bryce Young and getting him a weapon. The opposite side of that, do you feel comfortable with second and third round guys in this draft to help Bryce Young exponentially? I think that's a conversation we have to have. Especially post Senior Bowl, right? Like, have to have a conversation about that. But this is what we're gonna do, man. We're gonna transition, and we just finished off talking about pass catchers, so we're gonna talk about where did the wide receivers land. And I'll tell you this: the Dallas Cowboys drafted a pass catcher. We're gonna talk about that guy coming up next.
The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to make it even more exciting than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings awarded, PrizePicks makes it fun and simple to get in on the action. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. PrizePicks even has a free pick for the big game where Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw 1 yard to win. Pair that with one more correct pick, and you're cashing out. Guys, go download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't want to miss out on a deal like this. $5 for 50, tap in. PrizePicks, run your game. Where did the pass catchers go in Matt Miller's latest 2-round NFL mock draft for the 2025 NFL draft? Keith, you alluded to it, right? You tossed it up to me. I'm 5'5", but I'm a dunk it, Keith. I'm gonna get up there. The Dallas Cowboys getting our guy, Matthew Golden. And shout out to our boy Ray Garvin, Ray GQ. I was on his YouTube channel probably about 2 weeks ago, right before the Senior Bowl. We did a mock, and I put Matthew Golden at 12 to the Dallas Cowboys. I feel like Matt Miller may have saw that because this is like nobody else was doing it, Keith. And we've been the guys that's been pounding the table for Matthew Golden. So Matthew Golden goes to the Dallas Cowboys at 12. At 14, we got Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State, to the Indianapolis Colts. At pick 19, we have Luther Burton III, wide receiver out of Missouri, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then we get Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan, to Denver. And then last up, we're going to talk about Pittsburgh Steelers getting the Mecca at Buka. Keith, let's start with our guy. Let's start with our guy, Matthew Golden, at 12. How much do you like this fit for him, pairing him with Dak Prescott, pairing him with CeeDee Lamb? I forget who their new offensive coordinator is, because Mike McCarthy is gone.
Yeah.
I think it's Schottenheimer. I think is the coach.
Schottenheimer got elevated to head coach. Yep, Schottenheimer is their head coach. But obviously, him being a former OC, same exact team, right? He's going to have a heavy hand in play calling and scripts and things like that. But in regards to Matthew Golden, DP, it's one of those picks where I say I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. Looking at Matthew Golden, what he's able to bring, because I think that the Cowboys, you don't have a running back, like a strong running back room, right? Yeah. And I think everybody, I had people tweet at me, well, Rico Dotto ran for 1,000 yards. And I was like, okay, like, let's do the math behind this. There's 17 games in the NFL, right? And you do 1,000 divided by 17. That's somewhere around 55 to 60 yards, I believe, a game. That is not game changing, right? Like that is not a threat by any means. So that's okay, right? That's average to below average production from the running back situation. And I look at this and I say that if you're not going to invest heavily into the running back situation and balance that out, then go with getting another pass catcher and just going. That's the identity of our team, right? We're going to throw the football. We're going to line up. We're going to beat you. You don't have two corners that could cover both our guys. You just have to believe that, right? When they roll coverage and they're doubling CeeDee Lamb, you got to believe that Matthew Golden can win his one-on-ones. That has to be the situation, because I think that's what the Cowboys have to do.
100%. I think it also allows, Matthew Golden's listed at 6 foot, like 195, almost 200 pounds. Really good athlete, good route runner. He's nuanced, detailed. He can go up and make plays above the rim at the catch point. And I think and I said this on Ray's YouTube channel. For me, it's just like pairing him with CeeDee Lamb. Finally, give CeeDee Lamb a guy that can play predominantly outside and win and take that pressure off. While then CeeDee Lamb can consistently be that versatile piece and play that power slot at 6'2". What CeeDee's like 6'2", like 210, 200 pounds, 6'2", 200 pounds, where he could just be that chess piece for you that he's always been and get the matchups, and he consistently win as he stepped up big time in this offense, being arguably their best player offensively over the past couple years, and being Dak Prescott's top option. So I think Matthew Golden right here, like I said, I like it, Keith. I think it gives him a guy that because here's the thing, guys, for those not understanding, haven't really watched Matthew Golden, I don't believe we've seen the best of Matthew Golden. This isn't a guy that has like peaked and exactly, okay, he's got a good floor. Ceiling is okay. I think he has a higher ceiling than what we've seen throughout college. And now you get him with to me, Dak Prescott's a top 10 quarterback. It might feel controversial to people who hate the star on the helmet, but I really like Dak Prescott as a quarterback. And I think that would be a really good fit for them.
I have a question. For you. As a compounding piece, DP, do you think he's better than Jordan Addison? Because we like Jordan.
I think he could be, yeah.
And the reason I'm asking, because remember that draft, we were like, we like Jordan, we just don't know if we necessarily like him as a number one carrying a high-powered offense, right? But we was like, and I think we kept mocking him to the Vikings. We was like, if he goes here to the Vikings, it'll be really good, right? And he wound up falling to the Vikings. I was asking you, do you think Golden can fill that similar role, or do you think he's actually a better player than what Jordan Addison is?
I think he has a higher ceiling. Jordan Addison was more proven coming out, of course, being that, Pitt and then USC and everything like that. But I do think he could fill that role, right? That complementary to an elite caliber wide receiver, that star number one that's going to pull the defensive secondary's attention. Yeah, I think he could fill that role very well, honestly. Keith, at 14, Tyler Warren, our tight end 2, which, again, like we talked about yesterday, Keith, it's going to be, we got to get back into the tape of Elijah Arroyo and really see if is Tyler Warren truly tight end 2, but him going to the Colts, I think this is a good fit. The Colts with their run game. So
in this situation, not to cut you off, I'm making sure that I have this right. In this situation, he was the first tight end off the board.
He was tight end 1. Yep.
Okay.
He's not our tight end 1, but he's tight end 1 off the board, and he's the consensus tight end 1. And this is the landing spot people have for him. I think with Anthony Richardson at quarterback, with Jonathan Taylor in the run game, with that run game that they have, and the ability for Anthony Richardson to hurt you with his legs, you kind of start having to dabble into playing zone, which means your eyes on the quarterback, you drop into your spots. That's where Tyler Warren lives. He lives and thrives against zone coverage. Man, if you're telling me we about to face man-to-man 85% of the time, I want Colston Loveland. Like I 100% want Loveland, because he's the guy that I feel can either Loveland or Elijah Arroyo. You know what I mean? But I think with Tyler Warren, his ability to work within the soft spots, he's 6'6". I don't believe he's 260. I'm not gonna say a lot to you. I don't believe he's 260. I think he looks a lot closer to 250, 245, in my honest opinion. I don't think he's 260, but still, I think this is a good fit for him. And at the end of the day, I just look at it, that offense, and Shane Steichen in 2023, when Anthony Richardson was drafted, Shane Steichen was in his bag calling plays. Last year, it was a lot of deep shots, slow developing, long plays down the field. It's like when Josh Downs wasn't there, they didn't have an easy button in that offense. I think Tyler Warren could absolutely fill that role and be the easy button, Keith.
No, I agree 100% with DP. Let's keep this thing going and flowing, and we're about to talk about the run on defensive prospects, right? Matt Miller put a run on defensive prospects in this draft, and we're going to talk about those guys, where they went, coming up next.
Looking for tickets to your next big event? Maybe last-minute tickets to the big game next week? Whether it's a concert, a comedy show, or a sports game, finding the right ticket at the right price can be a headache. But with Gametime Picks, it's never been easier. Let me tell you how it works. With Gametime Picks, the app does all the hard work for you. It curates the best deals, so you don't have to waste time searching through endless ticket listings. And the best part, you're covered with Gametime's lowest price guarantee. If you find a better deal somewhere else, they'll refund 110% of the difference. Plus, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time with easy cancellation options if something comes up. Ready to make your next event even better? Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout for being our everydayers. Keep people going to get into the defensive prospect, but real quick, at pick 22, the Los Angeles Chargers did not the unthinkable, but the thinkable, and they selected Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise State. Keith, if you draft day, and we here at pick 22, Ashton Jeanty to the Chargers, to Jim Harbaugh, and it's the team that honestly needs to upgrade the tight end spot. They need to upgrade another wide receiver spot where they got some guys leaving through free agency and everything. Do you think this would be the right choice to select Ashton Jeanty and bypass some of the other spots?
It's tough because I do believe Ashton Jeanty is a talented football player, but I do, on the other side of that, we've seen so many of these running backs at the Senior Bowl, right? Like, there's so much talent in this draft that the way that Harbaugh structures his team, the running backs are insulated anyway, meaning that, like, he's going to, give them the rock 20, 30 times a game, and you're going to be in an ideal situation because he's going to build up the offensive line, things like that, right? So you can take the idea of, hey, if you put Saquon Barkley with the Eagles, right? But I don't think Ashton Jeanty is as talented as Saquon, right? I don't think it's that. No. I think Ashton Jeanty is a good football player that if he goes to the Chargers, he will be heavily productive. Now, the other side of that is this. I think about Harbaugh. And I had this conversation. I can't remember if I put it in my mock draft, DP. But every stop Harbaugh has been at, he's had a good tight end, a really good tight end. And so I think about this being a Coast and Loveland situation, a Michigan guy, right? Draft a Michigan guy. And when you think about the run game, and let's think about how things shift, right? The run game, the people that have to be involved, right? It's obviously the defensive line. And then it's the second level defenders, the linebackers, the safeties, right? They have to roll in the box. Who benefits from that? The tight end, right? The middle of the field. Like, he's able to operate. Those linebackers are creeping up, right? And you could just throw it right over the linebacker's head. I think this is a prime opportunity for the Chargers to get another pass-catching weapon for Justin Herbert. And if you give him a big body target like a Coast and Loveland, 6'6", 250 pounds, that can get open, separate, push vertically, but also block too in this scheme, I think that is more of it helps balance your team out more than drafting a running back.
100%. Luckily, in this situation, I think Loveland went like 2 picks ahead. But still, I think to your point about the tight end, I think Elijah Arroyo, what we saw from him down in Senior Bowl, he came in at 6'5" and a half, 251 pounds, played strong, all the things that you wanted to see. But the defensive players, Keith, at pick 24, Minnesota Vikings select Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. At pick 26, Azariah Thomas, cornerback out of Florida State, went to the Los Angeles Rams. At pick 28, the Detroit Lions, who need another edge rusher, selected Derek Harmon, D tackle out of Oregon. That was pick 28. At pick 29, the Washington Commanders select James Pierce Jr., edge rusher from Tennessee. At pick 30, Nick Amanwari, safety out of South Carolina, went to the Buffalo Bills. At pick 31, the Philadelphia Eagles select Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall. And at pick 32, the Kansas City Chiefs select Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan. Keith, when you hear those selections, what defensive fit do you like the most, or what stands out to you with those picks?
It has to be the Mike Green one, right? Getting a guy that showed up well at the Senior Bowl, getting him that deep in the draft. And then we know the Philadelphia Eagles, they like the guys with upside, right? Like in drafting these defensive prospects. Like, I feel like the way they draft, they swing for the fences. It's like, you know what, this guy's gonna be a Pro Bowler, might not make it.
And it's working.
It's going to be one of the two. And honestly, they ignore a lot of the narrative stuff driven around prospects, they don't care. They take the value in it, right? Like, okay, cool. Jackson Dart. I mean, not I said Jackson Dart. I'm sorry. Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter was supposed to be the best player in that draft. They said he had character problems. They say, cool, falls to us, we're taking him, right? Jordan Davis, same exact situation. They don't care. They just go ahead and take the guys. Mekhi Becton, they didn't draft him, right? But Mekhi Becton was an issue. You know what? We have an issue
left
at guard.
tackle. They put him at right guard.
Yeah. So you know what? We can use that. We have an issue at guard, right? So the Eagles, they and guess what? It's working, right? You find these talented guys, have narratives around them, create the culture, be able to win some football games, get it moving forward, and you're able to get good production. So I like the Mike Green situation because it kind of takes some of the pressure off it having to be Nolan Smith. And then also, if Mike Green hits, then Nolan Smith just has to be a complimentary piece.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and shout out to Nolan. He's finished the regular season and even into the playoffs very well on like really a step forward for him. But I like that Mike Green, especially then the value of where you get Mike Green, where you didn't have to trade up to get him. He fell right to you at 31. It's the same thing that the Baltimore Ravens typically do. They just sit, let the board fall to them, and they take the best player available. That's on that board. And it's like, you know what? Just draft the good players, right? I like that. I like that fit a lot. The Commanders getting James Pierce Jr. getting the edge on Tennessee.
Yep.
I like that a whole lot because they have the interior guys. And I think Dorrance Armstrong came over with Dan Quinn from Dallas and stuff like that. They don't have that fastball guy off the edge. And I think that's where he can fit in. I comp him to Brian Burns. You know what I mean? You might have to bulk him up just a little bit, you know, extra 7 to 12 pounds or 7 to 10 pounds. You don't want to bulk him up too much to lose his A trait, which is the first step, quickness, things of that nature to win the corner. But bulk him up a little bit more to handle the run game, especially in the division you're in. You know Philly's gonna run the ball, like you know what I mean. Like the Giants are gonna run the ball. No matter, I don't think it doesn't matter who's at quarterback. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Tom Brady. They're gonna run the ball because that's what Brian Daboll wants to do is really kind of lean on you and help that offensive line. So I like that fit. The Nick Amon-Wari, Keith. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Let me throw in real quick with the James Pierce. I agree with you with everything you said, and I think that he can be a very important part to this team structure and balance because you would assume that Jaden Daniels continues to play how he's going to play. They're going to play with some leads, right? And then now you got the guy on the other side of the field that can just simply close the games, right? When the other team has to throw the football, he can come in and close the game. So I think indirectly, it helps a whole lot as far as it's a complementary piece to the offense.
100%. Nick Amon-Wari going to Buffalo. I think they have some safeties that's supposed to be hitting free agency and everything. I think just giving them a 6'3", 225-pound athlete who can move all around the defense, that's a really good fit for them, Keith. But Minnesota getting Walter Nolan. Like, I just feel like if I'm Jared Goff, if I'm Jordan Love, if I'm Caleb Williams, I hate this pick. I absolutely despise this pick because of what we know that Walter Nolan can. And then the value of getting Walter Nolan where he is. I truly believe Walter Nolan has a real shot to be IDL2 in this class behind Mason Graham.
Leaving Senior Bowl, I think he'll be a top 10 pick.
100%. Like, and no worse than top 15. Yeah. Right? Because the quickest way to the quarterback is up the middle of the offensive line in the face of the quarterback. And I think what he showcased, the athleticism, the fluid hips, the ability to, I think we were watching some of the individual drills, and he's going through the double hand swipe and cornering to the quarterback, and his ability to stay tight and turn was crazy for a defensive tackle. So I'm just like, yeah, this is one of those type of guys, and he played the run much better this year at Ole Miss. Him and some of those other guys that they hit through the transfer portal revitalized and revamped that defense altogether. They were one of the better defenses in the SEC. You know what I mean? So like, I think putting him in that defense. Also, you have Dallas Turner. That'd be year 2. I think Brian Flores is still a DC. Yep. Yeah, man. If I'm one of those NFC North quarterbacks that's not a Minnesota Viking, I hate this pick. I absolutely hate it. I'm telling my interior offensive line, listen, we might have to change the snap count up. Yep. We have to do some different things because that first step is legit, and we can't have them in my face. So I think this is an outstanding. This is a home run. This is a home run pick to me. If the Minnesota Vikings got him at 24, yeah, that's a home run. That might be a grand slam, Keith.
Yeah, and it's a position that they've needed for so long in Minnesota, and then addressing it in a top tier way like this with a whole lot of positional value attached to it. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. Every listen is greatly appreciated here. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. Like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Take the latest episode as soon as it is available, guys. Listen, come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.